Yes. Hello, my beautiful friends. What an amazing day it is. Welcome back. I hope that your week was absolutely outstanding. We've got a great live stream planned ahead. Very glad that you're here and with us to close out the week strong. We've got tremendous news today. We're taking a look at some election officials busted in Arizona. They're getting called out by the Superior Court and hauled in for an order to show cause. It relates back to those election machines that they really do not want to give up any access to. And so we'll take a look at exactly what's going on. I've got a couple of briefs and opinions to take a look at and some updates on what's happening out there in California. So, bunch of fun stuff in the first segment. Then we have court clerks, not law clerks, who were arrested in Utah for exploiting their court backdoor, just like other individuals in other courts have done historically. And then we got the Tulsi Gabbard news about the Biolabs revealing some declassified documents on her way out. We're excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for subscribing and all of the things. We are confirming that the tubes are working before we jump on into it. And I think I got it connected. That's tremendous news. Let's just confirm that and verify that we're live all across the board. And it looks like it's working. So that's tremendous news. Let's go ahead and get started with our first segment here on the day. Election officials busted in Arizona. They're getting called in for an order to show cause to explain themselves. The Superior Court judge issued a prior order and told them they needed to comply with the county recorder in the very important swing state of Arizona. And they're not doing that. The county board of supervisors has decided that they're running everything, even though a judge told them not to do that. And so he's not happy about it at all. We see that America First Legal came out with an update on this one, explaining that a Maricopa County judge just ordered the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors to appear at a hearing and to show cause as to why they should not be adjudged to be in civil contempt for willful, continuing, and escalating noncompliance with the court's election integrity order. And I'm sure that they are not happy about this one today, nor are the Democrat leaders in Arizona, people like Katie Hobbs, Chris Mays, and Adrian Fontes. So we'll come back into this and take a look at exactly what's going on here. We've got the actual opinion and the order that has dropped from the judge, but what led to this was submitted by Justin Heap. And remember Justin Heap, this was the new incoming county recorder, the guy that was thoroughly endorsed by Charlie Kirk and others who come in and fix the Arizona elections. But on the way out, the guy who was in the office before Justin Heap came in, Stephen Richer, a guy we've talked a lot about here, delegated a lot of his power over to the Board of Supervisors. In Arizona, the way elections are governed, we have a bifurcation of responsibilities. So the Board of Supervisors is the board. We've covered them a lot here. A group of people who have certain responsibilities. Justin Heap has another half of the responsibilities. And the guy who was in Heap's position on his way out basically eschewed those responsibilities and passed them back over to the board, gave up the powers because he knew Justin Heap was going to come in and fix things. And so he did not want that to happen. So we saw that this got submitted by Justin Heap. He said there have been some serious factual developments and we need an emergency motion for a status conference. A big motion here. And this was drafted and submitted, as you can see here, by James Rogers from America First Legal Foundation, which is celebrating here today because they got the judge to come back down and give the old proverbial backhand to the Board of Supervisors. Now, this is curious because it involves some election machines that were being passed around and were seized. And then there were arguments about who was allowed to take the machines. And this is how it went down, the background on the story. Recorder Justin Heap, the new guy who just came in, respectfully brings to this court's attention a significant and urgent factual development. The Maricopa County Board of Supervisors has, through the election department and others, referred us, so the board refers the recorder for a criminal investigation. The board is so mad with Justin Heap. They're upset that he's actually clawing back his power under Arizona law, that they manufactured essentially an argument that he committed crimes. They're referring us for criminal investigation for the act of attempting to retrieve the recorder's own property, the election machines. On June 6, Pinal County Sheriff's deputies appeared unannounced at the home of the county recorder's office, Brian Colby, to his house. Cops showed up to say, you're under investigation for theft of a voting machine. The property at issue were two Image Track DS 1210 ballot envelope scanners with serial numbers ending in 27 and 26. They were purchased by the county recorder's office with their funds, but had never been lawfully transferred back over to them. So cops investigating a government official for getting his own property. The scanners were acquired specifically for early voting services, which is a function that the recorder handles, not the board. And they were paid exclusively from their budget under the recorder's sole control. The election department has no legal claim to these machines. And that's, of course, what we've seen in the declarations. Now, the timing and the circumstances of this criminal referral are deeply troubling. Contrary to the premise of the investigation, what Mr. Colby with Justin's office is apparently accused of doing would have been entirely lawful, attempting to retrieve equipment that belongs to them so that they could actually use it in the upcoming 2026 primary elections. This was a need created, by the way, because the board of supervisors, they refused to purchase a new machine that would have done this exact function. The board denied Justin Heap, the county recorder, the new machine. Then when he goes to get his own machine back, they seek to criminalize his office's efforts to find an alternative solution by using his own equipment. So the board's conduct must be understood in the context of this litigation. This litigation has been going on for over a year now, and it has been about the powers. The judge has already, if you've been here on the channel, already found that Justin Heap won this and said, the law says he has these powers and these responsibilities, and you can't have your outgoing prior county recorder eliminate those statutory rights and pass them off to the incoming, actually not even to him, but over to the board. This court has already found it necessary to stop the board from retaliating against the recorder's office. This court described the prior board conduct, this is Arizona, as gamesmanship and called what they were doing shenanigans. The board objected strenuously when Justin Heap noted in his own submissions to the court and in communications to the board that the board's conduct appeared to implicate criminal statutes because the board was committing their own crimes, but the recorder had not threatened the prosecution of anyone. Now the board has done exactly what it falsely accused the recorder of doing. It has actively initiated a criminal referral against the county recorder's office staff member for doing something that's entirely lawful. In the middle of active litigation, just over 2 weeks before early ballots are scheduled to be mailed to the voters. This pattern of escalating interference with the recorder's ability to do his job is depriving him of equipment needed for the election. It's targeting his staff for prosecution, and it's doing both under a false cover of a pretext of ownership is a form of contempt of this court's order. You already came out here, Judge, and gave us back our operational authority that Stephen Richer eviscerated. And so we respectfully ask you to convene an emergency status conference to address these developments, to consider whether further relief is necessary, and to ensure that we can actually run the primaries that are coming up in Arizona. Now, more background. This litigation arises because the Board of Supervisors in Arizona and our elections got very perverted when Katie Hobbs, the former Secretary of State, now the governor, wrecked elections for Kari Lake and others. And what they did on the way out, Stephen Richer was the guy who formed those groups that were like anti-Trump J6, like Republicans for Democracy, and we hate insurrection, whatever. So he leaves, he divests his own office of the power because Justin Heap is coming in and he's going to have those same powers. This is usurping the constitutional authority over Recorder Heap. On April 16th this year, we read this on this channel. This court issued an order restoring Justin Heap's operational authority over early voting services, gave him his powers back under the law. And this is a pattern that we see from the left all the time. They try to bypass the legislature and the governing law. Back during COVID, there were Mark Elias aligned law groups, Retired Alliance of Americans of Michigan, and now we've got the League of Women Voters and all these groups. They sue because they don't like the rules. They enter into settlement agreements with friendlies on the inside, like guys like Stephen Richer or people like Jocelyn Benson up in Michigan. And they enter a settlement that strips the legislature of their power. They do the same thing. They just tried this in Florida. We talked about it yesterday. Florida, the state legislature, passed a new map. They don't like the new map. They don't have enough votes to get maps that are in favor of them. So they sue and they just say, "Ma racism." And they bypass the legislature. This is how they rig the election. We call it rigged. They just call it legal maneuvering. So the judge already restored this. That order was the product of a contested evidentiary proceeding in which this court evaluated the board's conduct directly, looked into what they were doing, and said, "You lose." Even before the April 16th order, the board's litigation tactics prompted this court to take the extraordinary step of stopping the board from retaliating against or interfering with the county recorder and their witnesses. The court characterized the board's conduct during that proceeding with the word gamesmanship and shenanigans. And the recorder has since filed an application for an order to show cause about the board's continued failures to comply with that order. And the board, if you've been following this on X in Arizona or elsewhere, we saw what happened in Arizona in 2020, 5 o'clock p.m., Joe Biden wins. We see the board has been attacking Justin Heap basically every day, saying that this guy is a criminal. Throughout this litigation, the recorder has noted when the board conduct appeared to implicate potential violations of criminal law. The board has vigorously protested those observations, saying Justin Heap, the board was saying that certain rules had to be followed, which were in violation of Arizona law. Justin Heap pointed that out. If you encourage people to do this, if you encourage other people to go to you instead of go to the recorder, you're committing crimes. So now the board just inverted that. Notably, though, the board never contested the applicability of those statutes, but merely complained about the recorder pointing out the fact that they might be criminals. The board's objection, it now becomes clear, was not principle at all. It was tactical. And as detailed, even the board, as they were complaining about the recorder's observations, they were laying the groundwork to try to charge him with a crime, to try to frame him as a criminal and get him in jail, ultimately. Here's what happened. In January 2022, Elections director called Scott Jarrett presented the elections budget at a special meeting. In that presentation, on behalf of both the elections department and the county recorder, Jarrett specifically identified a $116,000 request for 2 new envelope scanners that were needed for early voting. They process affidavit envelopes that have provisionals. They identify ballots with bad or missing signatures that can't be processed. The board approved the budget. A memo was submitted to the county CFO, and they explained what they're buying. Then in 2023, in January, there was a purchase order. Out of the budget, they got some money and purchased the machines. Those were machines that were under the sole authority of the recorder's office. On February 9th, the funds were transferred over to Runbeck, and there was an invoice for these 2 image track scanners. Now, at no point ever were these scanners ever transferred to the elections department. Policy requires that all capital asset transactions, if we're going to transfer it from this division to you, we got to have documentation for that. And there isn't any. Nothing was ever transferred. The county's own financial system reflects no transfer of ownership. And so what that means is these are and have at all times been Justin Heap and the county recorder office property. Now, Scott Jarrett himself, who's still there, my understanding, had direct personal knowledge of all these facts. He presented the scanner request to the board. He co-signed the budget memo to CFO. He was copied on all these procurement emails and was well aware of what was happening. At any point during this controversy over the scanners, he could have resolved this matter. He could have come out and said, yeah, they're not yours, guys. He didn't steal anything from you because they're his. He chose to instead file an HR complaint and then refer the matter to law enforcement and blame Justin Heap for theft. In early March 26, this is the incident that they're saying was a crime. The Maricopa County Recorder Office, their personnel, they were attempting to locate these two scanners. They bought the scanners back in 2023. They were going to take the scanners, repurpose them to address an early ballot processing challenge that the board created by preventing him from getting a new machine. On March 5, 2026, the elections finance manager, a person called Berta, who had personally created the purchase order for the scanners and knew that they came from county recorder funds, independently confirmed the ownership and the serial numbers of the scanners. At 9:56, Ms. Ramirez emailed Sonia at Runbeck requesting confirmation of the serial numbers on the two scanners. Same day, 11:51, Ms. Galloway confirms, yeah, those are the machines. You follow the chain of custody. Machines go back to Runbeck. Their serial numbers match. They were purchased with county recorder funds, and they have invoices for the whole thing. Then the county recorder's office and their personnel, allegedly, they say, attempted to relocate one of their own scanners that was stored in the MCTEC. This is the Maricopa County Tabulation Election Center, where we saw Bill Onesie Twosie Gates and other election officials back during the Kerry Lake elections saying, well, you know, taking us forever to count this. For like weeks, counting went on in Arizona, just like in California with Spencer Pratt, just taking their time. Oh, we got a couple onesies and twosies to figure out over here, and we're going to get the numbers for you soon. Bill, that's not how we talk here. As the date of the Mason Declaration, as of the date, the Elections Department has taken possession of the scanners and now refuses to relinquish them to the county recorder's office. Now, rather than resolve the ownership question by reference to the county's own financial records, which unambiguously confirm that the recorder owns these things, the elections director, Scott Jarrett, filed a complaint with the Human Resources Department saying that the Maricopa recorder attempted to steal the scanners. Then the election department then apparently contacted the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. Those are the prosecutors in Maricopa, accusing the recorder of theft for attempting to relocate one of its own scanners. The county attorneys then said, so we don't want that case. They referred it over to Pinal County. They said it's their jurisdiction. On June 6th, deputies then appeared unannounced at the home of the county recorder, the IT director, Brian Colby, and said, you're under investigation for theft of scanners. What for what? They're mine. So then the county recorder's effort to locate these scanners was not incidental. It was directly tied to the recorder's ability to actually administer the elections lawfully and without disenfranchising the voters. The recorder had previously sought authorization to buy a new machine, which was specifically designed for these things, but the board denied that request because they're so mad at Justin. They don't want him to have any powers at all. Faced with the board's refusal to authorize the new machine, then the county recorder had been investigating. Well, can we just go get those other scanners? We already own those. They're ours. So let's just go get those. And we can just repurpose those to actually count the ballots. That investigation, the act of a responsible public servant trying to ensure that voters' ballots would be counted, is what the board has now called theft. And now they're referring him for a crime. Early ballots in the 2026 primary are scheduled to be mailed on June 24th. Coming up soon. The recorder's ability to process provisional ballots, UOCAVA, and others requires specialized scanning equipment. It's not an operational nicety. It is a statutory obligation. It is the law. You have to give us these. The continued withholding of the recorder's own equipment, combined with the active prosecution of the recorder official who is allegedly attempting to recover it, directly threatens the recorder's capacity to ensure that every lawful ballot is actually found and counted. Now, the board's referral is an act of retaliation. This is interference. The court has already found that it was necessary to stop the board from retaliating against the recorder, their witnesses and personnel. The board's referral of Colby for criminal prosecution is the most aggressive act of retaliation and interference in this litigation to date. It's election interference. The people of Arizona elected Justin Heap to go fix the elections and be in this position. They don't want that to happen. They want to hold their power, and they were withholding access to equipment and IT devices and basically stripped his office when he came in. It is not a peripheral administrative matter. This is a direct attack on the county recorder and the personnel that arise out of the heart of this case. You, the courts, have already found we have authority over equipment and over early voting. Now, courts exercising civil contempt have inherent power to protect the parties here. Under the law, it says all power necessary to affect its jurisdiction. And then the Maricopa County fraudsters, in my opinion, targeting the county recorder for criminal prosecution for trying to get his own property back that the records confirm belong to him is precisely the kind of conduct that chills the recorder's ability to exercise his court-vindicated authority, and it impedes the administration of justice. So the board loses the election. Their guy is out. New guy comes in. He strips the office of power, gives it over to them. We have litigation over whether they're allowed to do that for over a year. Justin Heap wins, beats them again, they lose again. Court says, give him his rights back. Then as this escalates, they then continue to lose like whiny crybabies, now say he's a criminal. And then we ask ourselves, why don't people have faith or trust in the elections? Because these are their tactics. This is how they litigate. This is how they handle integrity. The irony of the board's conduct should not be lost on you, Judge. In earlier communications with the board involving this case, Justin Heap, the recorder, observed that certain board conduct appeared to violate Arizona criminal statutes. They were the ones breaking the law. This wasn't a threat of prosecution. It was a factual observation about the seriousness of what they're doing. The board reacted with outrage. They condemned those observations as improper and inflammatory. Meltdowns all over X. The board now, while still voicing that objection, has done precisely what it falsely condemned the recorder of doing. Now they made a criminal referral against our staff based on a pretextual claim of ownership that is contradicted by the documents and the evidence, saying that it's ours. They called it a theft. And so apparently they have a little bit of selective sensitivity to criminal law observations. It was never principled. It was strategic. If you accuse us of crimes, we're going to manufacture a crime against you. Now, a theft requires, at minimum, an arguable claim that the property belongs to them. Here, they can't even plausibly make that claim. Every single document in the county's financial system establishes that the image track DS 1210 scanners were purchased with recorder funds. The purchase order identifies Unit 2140 for early voting services as the source. The EFT transaction shows payment originating from our department. No form to document the transfer of that capital asset was ever filed. Scott Jarrett, the elections director, personally knew all of this because he presented the scanner and the request to the board and signed the budget memo. Even more troubling, Berta, the elections finance manager, who personally created the purchase order, had already confirmed the serial numbers and those scanners the morning of March 5. The elections department did not simply make an innocent mistake about ownership. Its finance manager had contemporaneous documentary proof that we owned it. The referral for this criminal prosecution under these circumstances is not a good faith assertion of property rights. It is an abuse of the criminal referral process. It is meant to intimidate and to harass the recorder and their team. Now, Arizona courts have long recognized that the improper commencement of criminal proceedings is a weapon. That in and of itself is actionable conduct. Not allowed to just haphazardly, maliciously charge people with crimes. Now, the recorder does not ask this court at this stage to resolve this question, but the court should be aware about the nature and the quality of the referral and the evidence that it was made in bad faith in considering what to do here. Continuing, saying the order from you, Judge, just as a reminder, you gave us back our operational authority over early voting, which is where most of the fraud happens. The recorder cannot meaningfully exercise that authority without our equipment. The image track scanners are not abstract property. They are election equipment that we need. We can't run the election. You said we have the power to run the election. That means we need our equipment. Early ballots are scheduled to be mailed beginning June 24. And furthermore, these scanners already belong to us. Every day that the board continues to withhold our scanners is a day that the recorder cannot actually run an election that he is legally and constitutionally required to administer. And when government officials refuse to comply with court orders related to election administration, the proper remedy is not to wait and see until harm occurs. We have to act before the voters are harmed. The potential disenfranchisement of voters who cast ballots and other affidavits is precisely the irreparable harm that we can't fix after the election is over. A ballot that cannot be scanned cannot be counted, and a vote lost in a primary election cannot be restored. Now, the board and their conduct throughout this litigation is reflecting a calculated strategy: obstruct, delay, and moot. Rather than simply complying with the court's orders, the board has systematically worked to render them ineffective. Withholding resources the recorder needs to do his job, manufacturing pretextual disputes to occupy his attention, and now weaponizing the criminal referral process to intimidate his staff and deter any further effort to exercise his authority. Each act viewed in isolation might be explained away. But viewed as a whole, this pattern is unmistakable. The board intends to make it functionally impossible for the county recorder to obtain the relief to which he is entitled. We can't just sit around and wait this out. And the court should not permit this result to occur. And these are the same people who were behind Arizona's prior failed elections when people were waiting outside the doors to go inside and vote for Kari Lake. Couldn't get in because door number 3 needed to be used. Somebody sized the machines wrong, so the paper being inserted was being rejected. Oops. It's maliciousness, and now it's getting exposed. It's beautiful because they're flailing around trying to hang on to their power. Now, the recorder does not bring this motion lightly. He recognizes that the court has a heavy docket and already devoted substantial resources to this litigation, but the events of June 6 represent a qualitative escalation in their conduct, and it requires your judicial attention, Judge. The criminal referral of Mr. Colby is not an isolated act. It is the latest step in a continuing course of conduct designed to obstruct Justin Heap's ability to exercise his authority and to punish those who assisted him in doing it. Now, a status conference would allow the court to assess the full picture of this recent conduct, to consider whether that conduct is a violation of your prior orders, including the April 16th order and any other orders regarding retaliation against us, and to determine what relief is necessary to restore compliance and to protect our ability to actually run the elections. The recorder is prepared to present evidence described in this motion, as well as the accompanying declarations of the deputy recorder at the earliest convenience. And the election clock is running. Early ballots start going out June 24th, so the time for the court to act is now. So in conclusion, here's what we asked for, Judge. Convene an emergency status conference at the earliest practicable date to address the developments that we just explained to you. Order the board and the Maricopa County Board and Elections to immediately give us back our scanners to us, and then we can flesh it out later. Issue an order directing the board, the elections department, and those acting in concert with them to refrain from initiating, advancing, or participating in any criminal investigation or the prosecution of our personnel arising from alleged actions by our personnel to relocate the scanners or any other acts taken in exercise of our literal court-ordered authority. Please set an expedited schedule on the pending order to show cause, incorporating these new factual developments to allow for resolution of the application by the end of the week. Thank you very much, Judge. Respectfully submitted this June 7th of 2026. So the judge has now acted upon that. In the rest of this briefing, you can see it is declarations. It's a full 50 pages, but these are more declarations. This one of Jeff Mason, the deputy county recorder, who explained a lot of these things. There are scanners. The board of supervisors spent $116,000 for them. They help us do all these things. It's all legitimate. I'm going to come in and testify that they were purchased with our money. And the scanners have been identified. We need them. And they're not giving them to us. Dang it. Here are some of the exhibits. Image track DS 1210. Here's what it looks like right there. These are what some of the problems are emanating from. Fast desktop sorting scanner cost $116,000, and then our elections don't even work. Here's the Board of Supervisors special meeting. They got the transcript from the YouTube live stream. Exhibit 3, more budget requests from all the people involved. The evidence is clear. We got Runbeck and others who are talking about the scanner, the director of sales, the purchase contracts, more emails about it. They belong to Justin Heap. You can see here, good money to be in the election business. Purchase orders, they're his. So give him back his scanners. So the judge got all of this. And you even see them here on camera. Nice. It's theirs. Give it to them. But the judge, of course, agreed. So the judge dropped this one. This is what America First Legal is celebrating. 611, they say, all right. Now, the court has received an application for an order to show cause filed June 5th, and Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mission's motion for a temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction, and Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell's emergency request for a status conference and other things. And so it is ordered that the parties are directed to appear on June 15th, 2026 at 10 a.m. to show cause why, if any, that the plaintiff, Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell, should not be granted relief sought in her motion for a TRO without notice and preliminary injunction. This is a return hearing, and no evidence shall be received at this hearing, and all counsel shall be here as well and sign off on this here. This is the one that also got dropped from America First Legal. Here's the one. This court has received the counter-defendant, Justin Heap's application for an order to show cause. This is the right document. Asking why the defendants should not be held in contempt for willfully disobeying the court's order. And it is here ordered that the parties are directed to appear on June 15th to show cause why they should not be adjudged in civil contempt for willful, continuing, and escalating noncompliance with my prior order. So come in here and explain yourself. This is a referral to the principal's office. Get your butts in here. This is a return hearing. No evidence shall be received. All counsel shall appear virtually. And America First Legal now celebrating it, rightfully so, because Justin Heap has the authority to run that portion of the election, and the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors and their allies do not want him to have any ability to actually conduct those appropriately. And so they're now alleging crimes and referring him for criminal charges. So big victory on that, of course. We'll see what happens after the June 15th hearing. We'll have all the updates on that. But there is more happening right next door in California, because now California, according to the New York Post, is also being accused of blocking federal voter roll audits. The DOJ is now escalating the probe of election fraud claims based on what just happened to Spencer Pratt in LA. The DOJ now escalating the clash with California, accusing the state officials of blocking the audit. The dispute centers on voter roll maintenance and registration records. And Bill Escalate said this: if California genuinely wants voters to trust its elections, it should open its records, not fight to keep them closed. He posted a letter on X about this. And Harmeet Dillon is also leading the charge. Bill Escalate said, what are they afraid of? Dillon's letter followed the August 8th response from Shirley Weber's office. She always says, my privacy rights. A spokesperson for California and Newsom's office told Fox Digital, saying they can't get our records. We don't want to show anybody the list. They want to keep control over the big black box, which is called election operations. Bill Escalate, the U.S. attorney, he said, we also have serious concerns about how California maintains its voter rolls, calling out Democrats for blocking the federal audit. He says there are open questions about whether the state is promptly removing deceased voters, people who have moved, and individuals convicted of disqualifying felonies. We saw Judicial Watch filed a ghost voters lawsuit for over 800,000 ghost voters. They're not removing them off the list. Escalate said certain first-time voters who do not provide a social security number can register with gym cards, insurance cards, prescription labels, debit cards, no ID really. On top of that, California also allows third parties to turn in ballots on behalf of others. That's Bill Escalate. And so the fight continues, and the fraud in California continues as well. Dead registrants, people who've moved, all in one gigantic problem. And here is more from Bill Esseley, the man himself who's leading the charge over there in California.
This is one of my biggest priorities. When I got in, we made the Homeless Fraud and Corruption Task Force. And we said we're going to look for every dollar, because agencies like LASA, they're unable to account for it. They can't tell you where the money went. So within a matter of months, we found out a lot of money was stolen. We've charged almost $100 million in fraud. There's a guy, Mr. Sufer, which was covered on Fox News. He was supposed to be responsible for housing 300 homeless people. He used the money to buy a home in Westwood and a home in Greece and to vacation at the Four Seasons. People are stealing the money, and agencies like LASA are supposed to provide the oversight to make sure that doesn't happen. But everyone's making so much money off this, they don't care. The gravy train just keeps coming.
Yeah, and they're using them to vote. It's just like the quid pro quo with the Somalis in Minnesota. We'll get you a bunch of money, you give us the votes. The homeless people will keep flush. The homeless racketeer in California, keep them flush with cash, they'll keep the votes coming in. And so we also have HUD and Secretary Turner, who is putting the homeless industrial complex on notice. If you're committing fraud, you're on notice. And earlier this week, we saw a video of somebody walking around Skid Row talking to a bunch of homeless people saying, "Did you vote?" They said, "Yeah." "Who'd you vote for?" "Nithya Raman." "Who'd you vote for?" "Karen Bass." "Did somebody come and ask you to vote?" "Yes, they did." "Did they give you another option?" "No, they didn't." And they're getting paid to register to vote. They're getting paid to vote. The payments for inducing people to vote is a federal crime. The receipt of money to vote is a federal crime. Here's Scott Turner explaining what's coming next for the homeless scam.
We also have a Fox News exclusive. The housing department is cutting off tens of millions in federal funding from LA's homeless program over what it calls mismanagement and lack of safeguards against potential fraud. David Spunt live at the Justice Department. Hi, David.
Hi, Dana. Hi, Bill. This is a huge blow to this L.A. homeless authority. It's called LASA. They just were informed within the last hour that they are losing these tens of millions of dollars. They've gotten almost over $1 billion since 2021 in federal taxpayer funding. Now they're going to lose it as this investigation goes underway. This is from the White House Fraud Task Force in coordination with Housing and Urban Development. This is a 13-page letter that we obtained exclusively sent to this agency. According to the letter, LASA's received, as I said, $1 billion from HUD since 2021. The letter goes on quickly to point out that L.A. County has withdrawn funding for the agency. The city of L.A. is considering the same. The letter continues. HUD has evidence that LASA's repeated false statements and its irresponsible actions and failures, including its lack of financial management, internal controls, and safeguards against conflicts of interest, pose a threat to HUD, the public, and those living on the streets of L.A. Now, homelessness is a real problem in L.A. and other parts of California. It became a central focus of Republican mayoral candidate Spencer Pratt's campaign, though he ultimately was defeated at the polls. According to the numbers, $953 million was allocated in fiscal year 25-26 by the agency. Approximately 44,000 unhoused homeless people, approximately $22,000 per homeless person spent. FTC Chairman Andrew Ferguson, who's the vice chair of the Fraud Task Force, says that LA didn't care about the homeless, but the Trump administration does. Ferguson is part of this overall task force. They don't just have their eyes set on Los Angeles, really all 50 states, but a big blow to this agency today, guys.
That's really interesting and a theme, of course.
Voter harvesting racket is coming to an end. Here's the letter that Bill Esseley had sent over back to Shirley Weber saying the Honorable Shirley Weber. This was a while ago, actually back in August. He just posted this. He's explained this letter responds to your other letter. This communication is limited to our request for your voter registration list. They do not want to give it up. Back in July of last year, we requested access to the NVRA to your list under the NVRA under HAVA, and we are empowered to go get these records. But you responded and said that you're not going to give them to us because of my privacy rights. And Harmeet Dillon and the others, of course, have launched lawsuits across the board to go get access to these things. Most of the lower level courts have rejected those claims and denied their ability to actually do what federal law entitles them to do, which is to maintain and validate their lists. So Harmeet Dillon and others are still on top of it. And Spencer Pratt is out with the new video. He said, we're now entering phase 3. We're going to continue on in our quest to save LA. Here's the latest from Spencer Pratt, and he is fired up.
Now that the campaign portion of my mission to save Los Angeles is coming to a close and I'm moving on to the next, more interesting phase, listen, I've spent a lot of time slaying everybody. I've ridiculed everyone on the roster, and I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take the chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. You think you can get rid of me that easily? I know a lot of dim-witted jerks thought I was in this for a grift, that I was going to roll up and leave town if I didn't get into City Hall.
It's just not fair.
Hey, morons, I didn't get in this for political power. I got in this to expose this corrupt machine, and nothing has changed. You enjoy your worthless meetings in City Hall.
Nikki, you have all this information. You're running for mayor. Show what you're really about, or get the fuck out of the race.
I'm going to be lighting you up every single day, and now I don't have to worry about offending CNN viewers. I don't have a campaign laws hamstringing me now. It's war. It's 0 hour for Los Angeles. Angelinos are now stuck with 2 morons responsible for all their problems, and they have to choose between dumb and dumber. That's not a choice. That's the machine protecting the machine. And now every problem that plagues Los Angeles because of these 2 corrupt communists is going to accelerate, and the city will tumble headlong into the abyss. You have no idea how many major developers, hoteliers, business owners, entrepreneurs have been texting me saying they're packing up and leaving town. More of your favorite restaurants will be shuttering. That means less tax revenue. That means the city has to cut services, more potholes, less firefighters, less police patrols, more criminals, more drug addicts terrorizing your communities.
And we haven't ended it.
You have no idea how bad things are about to get for this city. Look at this place already. Weeds growing from every crack and crevice, graffiti over every square inch of public space, garbage, drugs, feces, burned up dogs, burned down towns, abandoned storefronts. This city is a mess, and you're about to reward the arsonist who torched the place with 4 more years of destruction?
I know he's very bitter.
My goal hasn't changed. I've been laser focused on stopping these commie animals, and I will stop them. If you think we uncovered a lot of fraud and evil in the campaign, just wait. We have some recordings of one of your exalted candidates doing and saying something that would make her resign in shame. I was saving it for the general election. Go ahead and pick your demon, certify your choice, and then you get to see it. So Karen Nithya, ask yourself, is it possible that one of your employees may have a recording of you doing or saying something that would force you to resign in disgrace? Hope you sleep well at night over the next 5 months, because you know who hasn't slept well at all for the last 17 months? My mom. All my neighbors in the Palisades, all the moms who worry about their kids walking past drug addicts in front of their schools, all the business owners getting crushed in the LA economy, worried that they can't stay in business and feed their kids. Angelinos have been struggling for years now, all while corrupt politicians and fraudulent NGOs profit off the misery and fleece us for the tax dollars. Well, now we're flipping the script. I want all of you awake at night sweating and worried about 5 a.m. when the FBI blazers bust in the door, breaking open your office, because I assure you, they're coming. You think your election was going to stop me? If you want to stop me,
you're going to have to fucking kill me!
Nice. I'm fired up after that one. And apologies for a couple of the swear jar donos going right into that. 2 of those, another one and another one. But that was a burner. So I think that the longer this goes on, people can just feel it right in their faces what a fraudulent scam the whole thing is. California refuses to give the list up under federal law. You've got Arizona Board of Supervisors who are doing their damnedest to prevent the actual duly elected county recorder from accessing his own machines because they want to continue to control them. We've got bona fide fraud in homeless people going out on Skid Row and voting, getting paid to do so in violation of federal law. And Bill Escalate is saying there is more on this coming. And in his latest post from Bill, what did I do with this one? He is confirming that there is fraud, as we see here. And what did I do with this one? Right here. The LA Times is saying that voter fraud claims are unfounded, but then their own reporting confirms it. Their article documents homeless individuals being paid cash to register to vote. That is a federal crime, as we mentioned yesterday. 3 people told the Times they accepted a couple of dollars to sign, with one saying he signed multiple signatures using various names and received $10. Okay, it's fraud. That's not unfounded at all. That's voter fraud, and it's exactly why there must be investigations, and so they're on it. And suddenly, the homeless fraud scam starts to make a whole lot of sense. Yes, you get paid money per homeless person. And so you have a direct financial incentive to increase the number of homeless people to increase your budget. But just like what they did in Little Somalia in Minnesota, there is a power structure that happens. Money goes to certain groups of people. Politicians grease the skids so that it flows right directly to them, and there's a benefit that returns back to the politician in the forms of votes and power, who continue the gravy train, and the cycle goes on and on and on. So Bill Esseley's on it. Justin Heap got a bunch of individuals in the Board of Supervisors hauled in there for an order to show cause. We'll have a follow-up hearing on this next week on June 15th. We'll be here to see exactly what happens and whether or not the Board of Supervisors and all of these other election officials who do everything they can to just violate the rules, bypass the legislature, bypass the laws, we'll see if they're held in contempt. Thanks for joining us as we do. All right, we got some more good news because we have court clerks who just got arrested as well. We got some very interesting photos here. Utah court clerks have been arrested and charged by federal indictment for criminal obstruction. And you can see they don't have too many concerns about their criminal activities. I think these photos will be very relevant during their sentencing proceedings after they're hopefully convicted of these crimes. Looking at the camera, and I think with a big fat finger flipping it off, making their positions known. The DOJ came out and got their hands on these two who have now been indicted. Both of these charges addressed to two women, unsealed now. Two former Utah state clerks have been arrested. They tried to help an illegal alien use their back door, just like backdoor Doogie. The clerks also allegedly obstructed immigration proceedings and the lawful enforcement of immigration laws. They helped at least one of three other illegal aliens escape out the back door. They just love letting them use their back doors. One woman's name is Jennifer Joma, age 27. The other is Lauren Kesley Morrow, age 26, and they're both indicted. We've got the documents queued up. They've got the photographs. They watch them do it and walk out the back door. Here is what just dropped in a newly unsealed indictment as it relates to both of these. They've got 4 counts that the grand jury passed back down, and looks like they struck count 5 for whatever reason. But we got count 1, conspiracy to transport and harbor illegal aliens. And again, all these illegal aliens are carried into the rest of the fraud: voter fraud, education fraud, financial fraud, healthcare fraud, housing fraud, you pick it. Harboring illegal aliens, transporting illegal aliens, and obstruction of criminal proceedings. So we'll get the details and the facts, but count 1, 8 U.S. Code 1324A, saying that these two unlawfully and knowingly and intentionally confederated and agreed with each other to commit an offense of conspiracy to transport illegal aliens, harboring illegal aliens in reckless disregard of the fact that JM, JG, and MM, who are aliens, had entered into the United States in violation of federal law. Count 3, same thing, transporting illegal aliens. Transported them out the back door. Count 4, obstruction of proceedings. And here are the facts of the case. They did affirmative actions in order to make this happen. They searched the state of Utah database for personal identifiers. So these are court clerks. These are not just random Antifa goons in the middle of a court proceeding. They work for the clerk of the court. So they got onto the court systems. They went in, looked up the illegal alien cases. Presumably these illegal aliens are there for criminal charges of themselves, that they committed themselves, to identify who they are and to determine their alienage. They then use their personal cell phones and official court telephones to coordinate and facilitate moving them through the courthouse to evade detection. They intercepted the people that they believed were ICE targets, and after they left the courtroom to prevent them from being arrested, ICE officers were waiting outside in the courtroom. They also prevented the court bailiff, which was state law enforcement, from investigating why JG, the illegal, was being led and moved through a secure, non-public area of the courthouse. They directed JG to use one of theirs, maybe both of theirs, non-public back door. so that ICE officers who were waiting in the parking lot could not leave the courthouse. Then Joma, she put them in her vehicle. She put the illegal alien in her car, drove away from the courthouse, and prevented his arrest by ICE. Now, they did not charge them with concealing a person from arrest, but that's what the grand jury of the four-person signed there. We got more details on this about the request for detention. Do not let them out of custody. This case is about some state court clerks who abused their position of trust and took the law into their own hands by helping an illegal alien evade a lawful arrest. After they overheard that ICE was at the courthouse to arrest someone, these two improperly accessed court databases to determine who was not born in the United States. They then snuck every suspected illegal alien who was at the courthouse out their back door, where ICE, who was waiting in the parking lot for their target, could not see them. One of the court clerks, called Jennifer Joma, even arranged to meet 3 of the illegals outside the courthouse to pick them up in her car. She then drove them away, dropped them off somewhere else so that ICE could not arrest them, and the court clerks did not know who ICE intended to arrest, nor did they care why ICE wanted to arrest them at all. Helping illegal aliens who came into the country illegally, who presumably were there for immigration and law enforcement proceedings, escape. Acting as self-appointed anti-ICE vigilantes, these 2 defendants and others took it upon themselves to obstruct immigration proceedings and the lawful enforcement of immigration laws. Whatever their personal feelings are about immigration policies or laws, this was a crime. In fact, she is charged with at least 4 crimes. More specifically, Joma got all 4: conspiracy, harboring, transportation, and obstruction. Now, the U.S. is not seeking detention, bummer, but they are seeking conditions of release. The U.S. says that Joma should be released on the following conditions: that she not commit any other crimes, that she's required to report to a pretrial officer, that she has to maintain employment or actively seek employment. Hopefully she got fired. She be required to surrender her passport, ordered not to discuss the case with her co-defendant, Lauren, and be advised that if you attempt to obstruct the arrest of illegals, that's a violation of law. And they give us some more background here on what happened. Let's see where some more of these details are. Here are some other factors about the nature of the offense. On April 9, 2026, Jennifer and Lauren and at least 2 other court clerks, and by the way, this is what we talk about. Illegal aliens get due process premium. Think about if you're a citizen and you're about to be remanded into custody. You just got convicted of a crime, judge sentences you to 6 months in jail. Do you think that they would do this for some white dude named Robert who was convicted of a DUI or something? No, because that's a criminal. But these are migrants or whatever they've been brainwashed to think. So they will jeopardize their lives and their futures and their positions as clerks in a courtroom to help these groups of people. Why? I have no idea, other than brain derangement. So they were there. They were working at Clerks at the Logan City Municipal Court in Utah. At 1:25, an ICE enforcement officer and removal officer entered the Justice Court to arrest an illegal alien named JG for immigration charges. The officer had a warrant for his arrest and was there for a court appearance. The ICE officer entered the waiting room into the courthouse and waited for some people to go into the courtrooms. He then approached the bailiff, a police officer, and said, "Hi, I'm here to arrest this illegal alien, this dude over there." The bailiff allowed the ICE officer to enter the back of the courtroom where JG was attending his court hearing, presumably for another crime. The bailiff then entered the secure area behind the clerk's window and discussed ICE's presence and the purpose with the supervisor out loud on a cell phone. So this ICE officer goes into the clerk office, essentially. Behind the window, you go into court, get your sentence, get your continuance, get whatever, take your plea deal, go out, sign some paperwork outside the window, then leave. So he goes into the office, he's hanging out back there, and calls somebody. "Yeah, we're here. Yeah, it's ICE. We're here for the JG matter." "Oh, what are we doing after that?" "Well, we're going to go get some lunch, and then where do you need us?" "Okay, I'll be over here." "Okay, great." She hears it. The bailiff notified the judge, who told him to ask ICE not to take any enforcement action inside the courtroom. Let's avoid the disturbance inside the courtroom. Just wait till he leaves. Bailiff complied and entered the courtroom to relay the judge's message to the ICE officer. He says, "Fine." The bailiff took the ICE officer back to the secure area without closing the door The bailiff then told the ICE officer the judge's request. The ICE officer then left behind the area, behind security, and went into the main waiting room and up to the clerk's window. Then at about 1:40, the ICE officer spoke to Lauren Morrow at the clerk's window. The officer then went outside, waited in his car for his target to leave the courthouse before trying to arrest him. Then after Joma and Morrow learned that ICE was there to take somebody into custody and effectuate an arrest, they sprang into action. They and others at the courthouse immediately began taking actions to try to figure out whom ICE was there to arrest. Another clerk in the courtroom helped them, and they should be arrested too, as part of the conspiracy. The clerk used both the courtroom phones and text on a cell phone to continue to contact Morrow and to keep Morrow updated on the court proceedings. Okay, this illegal's taking up next. His case was just called. They got a continuance, and so they're leaving now. The clerk did this so in open court without the judge or the bailiff noticing what was going on, texting. To identify the individual that ICE might be there to arrest, Morrow and Joma decided to misuse court databases to search for their criminal histories and to determine the alienage of everyone who is on the court docket. They began searching the criminal histories that reflect a person's country of birth to help identify which illegal alien ICE was there for. So then they go and find the worst of the worst. At the same time, Morrow remained in contact via text message with another clerk who watched everyone in the courtroom to keep them apprised of the proceedings. Then, at about 1:55, a fourth clerk, who should also be arrested, returned to the courthouse and was notified by Morrow that ICE was there to arrest someone. This clerk was immediately asked to start running reports of individuals on the docket, including JG, and during their searches, they identified that someone in the courtroom named JM was a citizen of Guatemala. Yeah, of course, because, there's a lot of those here. At approximately 2 p.m., JM then left the courtroom. We got JG and JM. Before he could leave the courthouse, Joma and Morrow contacted him, oh, that's the guy, from the clerk's window. After talking to JM, Joma entered the waiting room and appeared to show the illegal where ICE was parked in the parking lot with her cell phone in her hand. They're over there, so be careful. While Morrow remained at the clerk's window to watch for ICE, Joma then led JM back into the secure area where he's not supposed to be, down a few hallways into a back maintenance room on the opposite side of the building. From there, she helped him leave the courthouse without being seen by ICE. Exhibits 1 we'll get to. While Joma was taking JM by hand through the secure area, she remained in contact with her co-conspirators via cell phone. Morrow then followed Joma to where JM was let out of the courthouse through a maintenance room. This room had a back door, of course it did, to the outside of the courthouse, where ICE could not see anyone leave the building. Meanwhile, another clerk covered the clerk's window and appeared to act as a lookout because ICE is now looking around and saying, "Where are these illegals at?" After sneaking JM out her back door, letting her use and abuse her back door, Morrow and Joma noticed a surveillance camera. Now, that did not even appear to deter or concern them at all. Joma waved and smiled at the camera. Morrow waved and then used her middle finger to flip off the camera. Between 2 and 2:25, Joma, Morrow, and another clerk continued to remain in constant contact with each other in person and via cell phone, and in contact with the clerk in the courtroom via cell phone. They continued to locate records of people in court who were born in a foreign country who might be there to arrest. There's a bunch of people. They got a bunch of others. At 2:25, a woman named M.A., who was born in Mexico, left the courtroom and was contacted by Joma and Morrow. You handle your proceeding. Go outside to the clerk, sign your paperwork, get your new date, they calendar it for you, and you leave. They told M.A., another illegal, that ICE was there. While they spoke, M.A. gave Joma her car keys. Joma then went into the parking lot and retrieved some of M.A.'s personal belongings from her car. What? So the clerk says, "They're here to get you. You can't go back to your car. They might be onto you." She said, "Well, I have my medication in the car. I have these other things. My voter registration card. Go get that for me so I can make my voice heard." So they go then and help her extricate her personal belongings from the car. They give them to her before they escape her out the back door. Just before 2:35, JG, which was actually ICE's target, and a woman who came with him to court, MM, left the courtroom. Boom. Court clerks Morrow and Joma then contacted him, while another clerk appeared to watch ICE's location and update everybody on the position. Joma then took these three, JG, MM, and MA and sat them in the waiting room to explain to them what was going on. We're saving you. Joma and Morrow had a conversation. Then Joma took the 3 people past the metal detectors where Morrow opened the door and let the 3 unauthorized people back into the secure clerks area. As the clerks, Joma and Morrow, led the 3 unauthorized people into the secure area, the bailiff left the courtroom and he goes, what the hell's going on over here? Law enforcement bailiff, what are you guys doing? He followed them back into the secure area. When the bailiff entered the secure area, the clerk Morrow intercepted him and tried to distract him. She gave him a false explanation for why unauthorized people were there. Another clerk also tried to distract him. Hey, can I ask a question about my cell phone? It's been acting up. He's like, okay. As Joma began to lead the 3 unauthorized people toward the back maintenance room and outside of the building, the judge left the courtroom as well. The judge went into his office and left the door open. He did not see the unauthorized people because his vision was obstructed. The clerk who had been in the courtroom with the judge then came into the secure area. She looked at the clerk, Joma, and the 3 unauthorized people who had just recently left the courtroom. Then she went into the judge's office. Judge, it's getting a little loud out here. I know you have work to do. So she closes the door. From the footage, it appears that this clerk closed the judge's door to prevent the judge from seeing the illegals. With the door closed and Morrow and another clerk distracting the bailiff, it's like an operation out of like Ocean's 11. Joma then led the 3 unauthorized people through the secured hallways and into the back maintenance room that then led outside. The 3 people waited in the back of the maintenance room with the light off for a few minutes. For what? While Joma returned to the secure court clerk area to get the keys to her vehicle. Then the clerk Joma left the building, got into her car. She drove around the building and parked on the street outside of the back of the courthouse closest to the back maintenance door. The 3 unauthorized aliens then came bursting out of the maintenance door, jumped into her car, and she drove off with them. Joma escapes 3 illegals. She's gone until 3:10. Meanwhile, after the court had already concluded for some time, another ICE officer came into the courthouse. He's like, where are all these illegal aliens? Came to the clerk's window to see if the target was still in the building. He said, I was just here a couple hours ago and he was seated right there. Where'd he go? He asked Morrow if she knew how the targeted illegal alien could get out. I mean, ICE was watching the door the whole time. So where'd he go? Morrow did not tell him that she and Joma had led 4 aliens out of her back door, nor did she tell him that Joma had driven 3 aliens away in her car out of sight of ICE. So, Judge, the history of these people also has been delineated. Miss Joma has no criminal history. She no longer works at the Justice Court, and thus could no longer abuse her former position to repeat these crimes, but she violated a position of trust as a court clerk to obstruct a lawful arrest. And again, she would never do this for an American citizen. She would never do this for somebody who she didn't think was being abused. And if you're just some random dude who's going to prison for whatever, you're out of luck. You should be an illegal alien. Then you get due process premium. The FBI will let you go. You can vote. You get free hotel rooms in the Roosevelt Hotel. They have maids come in twice a day, no problem. And judges and clerks will escape you out the building. She apparently did so for political or philosophical reasons, deeming herself above the law and somehow justified in her actions. And so here are the exhibits. Exhibit 1 right here. Wow. Maybe it's because she saw herself in him. She's like, wow, we're like the same shape. So I feel a strong, energetic, and empathetic connection. You know, kind of the same rough shape between the two of them. Wow, like he could be my brother, you know? Maybe they went through and got a couple of quarter pounders on the way out. You never know. So here's another one in the maintenance room. They are now going into the maintenance room. She's got her phone open. This illegal alien's like, what the hell is going on? What kind of courtroom is this? What kind of court building is this? Here's another one. And she's about the same size. She's like, wow, we're like all family members. He could be my son. Amazing. So then she opens the door. Hey, right this way, illegal alien. Escapes him out here. This other lady's walking this way, right into the secure area with their Keurig and their cubicles back there. This guy at least put on a sport coat and walks him out. And apparently that's the other lady with him. I don't know if she's also an illegal, maybe the woman from Mexico. Right past the copy machine, right into the secure area and out the building. Then you see them. I don't know why they redacted their faces. I mean, they should be plastered all over the place. We should get a mugshot and see them bona fide. They don't care. So I hope this goes into their sentencing and the judge can just put that right up there and just say, oh, you're suddenly remorseful? I don't think so. So a couple of big ladies who are now flipping off the camera because they think that they're like Harriet Tubman or something. So that is now what happened. They have been arrested and indicted. Assistant Attorney Todd Boughton is the person who is behind it. They snuck out the back door of the courthouse. See if we got any quotes. This case is part of Operation Take Back America. It's a nationwide initiative that marshals the full resources of the DOJ to repel the invasion of illegal immigration, to achieve total elimination of cartels and transnational criminal organizations, and to protect our communities from the perpetrators of violent crime. So now this case will be proceeding in Utah, District of Utah, and they joined the ranks of Backdoor Dugan. And when did this all happen, by the way? April 9th, 2026, the backdoor judge in Wisconsin, I think, she had already been charged with crimes for this. So they saw a state judge get charged with federal crimes for letting them use her backdoor. And maybe they were inspired because she was about the same size as them. Weird thing, weird coincidence on that one. So anyways, now they're charged. Of course, we're going to keep our eye on this one. Hopefully justice is served. And I have a question about why the other two, apparently there were 4 people, it sounds like, who were involved in this massive conspiracy. So maybe the other 2 clerks have turned state witness. Maybe they're now going to be helping in testifying against Jennifer and Lauren for what they've done. And they thought that they were going to get away with it too, but they're not above the law. And hopefully justice is done. Shout out to the DOJ for catching them. Shout out to the ICE officers who presumably did not let that go. I would like to know what the follow-up was there, because the ICE officers were knocking on the door. Where'd they go? Where are the illegals at? They're gone. Is this a magic trick? Is there a trap door somewhere? Then they start looking into them. These clerks thought they outsmarted them, but hopefully they get a nice sentence. They're in a position of power, not supposed to access databases illegally, not supposed to give certain defendants benefits that other defendants don't get outside of the standard judicial process. So justice must be done. It is in the process of being done. We'll keep our eye on this one. Thank you for joining and subscribing as we do. All right, we got one more update, my friends, and then we'll hear from you. And here's what we got from Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard with a major declassification on her way out in the final days of her tenure as the Director of National Intelligence. This one capturing a lot of attention out there because it relates back to those biolabs that we heard Rubio ask Victoria Nuland about during Senate hearings some time ago, which she validated actually existed. And now Tulsi is confirming that Fauci and others have been playing around with these very funky bacteria and other pathogens for gain of function research. They lied to us and told us that it came from a wet market in China when it very likely came out of Fauci's butt. So she said, today I'm releasing never before seen intelligence. We've got the PDF queued up, revealing new evidence of past U.S. government funding for more than 120 biolabs in over 30 countries, including Ukraine. In support of Trump's executive order to end federal funding of dangerous gain of function research around the world and to increase transparency and accountability, the ODNI will continue working with partners across the administration to identify where exactly these labs are, what pathogens they contain, and what, quote, research is being conducted here. And Rand Paul, who's been on this for a long time since the beginning, is looking at his phone. And he said, instant repost. That's how excited he is. Same thing with Ron Johnson. These guys have been on this for a long time. And they told us this is all conspiracy theory. You guys are full of nonsense. Stop denying the truth. This came from nature. And remember, they were doing this stupid song Rand Paul said they really left no stone unturned trying to lie about where COVID came from. Remember this guy and what we had to listen to for like 4 years of this crap?
Poof, coronavirus came from overseas.
Look at this.
Infecting folks across the land, Seattle, NYC. A little bat's virus, love those human cells. Next thing you know, the cases grow and the world has gone to, it's a family show. Heck, poof, coronavirus came from overseas. Infecting folks across the land, Seattle, NYC. Poof.
Yeah, that's the NIH director. It came from a bat. We had to deal with that crap. Nurses bouncing around doing little dances. But this was the argument that it came from nature, not a lab. No, they engineered it and they belong in jail. And some people have been charged for their crimes related to this, and I hope many more come. But Rand Paul reflecting our memory about that one. But here's what Tulsi said. Then we've got the actual documents queued up here that show exactly what has been declassified. So we'll come back to that, but not until we hear from Tulsi on her way out.
After months of searching through intelligence community holdings and files, today I'm releasing new evidence of long-standing U.S. government funding of more than 120 biolabs in over 30 countries. Now, these biolabs include labs in places like Ukraine, which could be at risk of compromise due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. In fact, the intelligence community had previously warned that a U.S.-funded biolab in Ukraine likely housed dangerous pathogens and remained vulnerable to long-standing threats of Russian attack, seizure, or damage. Now, until now, evidence regarding the full existence and funding of these laboratories had been knowingly withheld from you, the American people. Many of these U.S. government-funded biolabs are currently or have previously engaged in research using hazardous and highly contagious pathogens, and in some cases included dangerous gain-of-function research, with very little visibility or oversight. Now, President Trump clearly understands the serious threat dangerous gain-of-function research poses to the American people. And this is why he took decisive action over a year ago. On May 25th, 2025, he signed an executive order to end federal funding of gain-of-function research around the world.
Thank you, Mr.
Here
President.
at ODNI, I issued new guidance to the intelligence community directing increased collection on these laboratories and facilities overseas. And we're already seeing the results of this increased collection. We're learning new details, for example, on clinical trials that are underway at these facilities and that are raising significant ethical, financial, and security concerns regarding the supposed public health initiatives and U.S. national security. Now, despite the obvious potential for catastrophic global impact that research on dangerous pathogens in biolabs can have, politicians and so-called health professionals like Dr. Fauci, as well as entities within the Biden administration's national security team, lied repeatedly to the American people about the existence of U.S.-funded and supported biolabs. Not only did they lie, they threatened those who attempted to expose the truth. So this release today breaks new ground, as the information surrounding the existence, history, locations, and funding of these U.S.-funded biolabs has been intentionally covered up by very powerful people who falsely claimed that these biolabs didn't exist. Now, they accuse anyone who says otherwise to be foreign assets and traitors to America. Now, ODNI will continue working closely with partners across the U.S. government to identify exactly where these labs are and what pathogens they contain, to end dangerous gain-of-function research that threatens the health and well-being of the American people and people around the world.
Man, we're going to miss Tulsi. That was a very appreciated revelation because they called us all crazy. We had various government intelligence agencies that couldn't get their story straight. I think the CIA said, we can't confirm it. We don't really know. FBI is like, well, maybe it came from a lab. And they were all just jerking us around for years. And we all, in our hearts, could sense that there was something much deeper going on here. We've had many other pandemic scares. Remember, like swine flu pops up every couple of years. bird flu pops up, H1N1, whatever, Ebola's going on right now. It's always kind of something happening, but this one was different. Trump at the very beginning said, it's relax, just chill out. It's not going to be a big deal. They brought him into the room and they gave him a briefing and he walked out with a different vibe, 100%. We all could see it. We all went, oh crap. Once he issued the national emergency back in March 2020. So they did it. They lied about it. And there were efforts to stop them from happening. They bypassed those. Once the whole cat was out of the bag, then they covered it up. They all got fat and rich off of it. They caused the deaths of millions of people across the planet and a ton of people in America, people hospitalized, people's life changes, people getting turbo cancer, all sorts of bizarre things happening as a result of this entire scandal. So we're happy that the president came in, started to demand some accountability. Tulsi, on the way out, is releasing this new detail. 120 biolabs in over 30 countries, Ukraine and other areas. The documents have been released. We'll take a look at the specific declassifications. All of this knowingly withheld from the American people. Just go take this pharmaceutical, shove it into your body. Many of the U.S. government-funded biolabs are currently or have been previously engaged in using gain-of-function research. Trump signed the EO, and now there's new guidance out to release more details about this. So here's what she ultimately released. Declassified back on April 23rd, 2026, now hitting the public, saying, from the Office of the DNI, this involves veterinary research facility in Kharkiv, ongoing target for Russian misinformation and other potential operations. It's called the IECVM, and this looks like these are almost from slides, right? Like this is like a PowerPoint slide or something. These are all the companies involved. Here's a table of the status, almost some type of a presentation. So she releases it, saying the Institute of Experimental and Clinical Veterinary Medicine, IECVM, it's like veterinary medicine, you know, like a Leering Center, in Kharkiv, probably houses at least some dangerous pathogens and almost certainly remains vulnerable to long-standing Russian information operations, to seizure or to damage. Maybe that's why the Russians are there. Because they want that. The Institute, which was founded in the 1920s and may have had Soviet biological warfare ties, specializes in veterinary medicine, virology and toxicology, redacted. That comes from military reporting and Ukrainian documentation. The Institute may also have directly or indirectly supported Soviet BW efforts, redacted. The Institute focused research on diagnostics and vaccines, redacted, and had already destroyed something by the time we got there. Now, as of the early 2010s, the Institute held hundreds of pathogens and was one of over 40 Ukrainian-owned and operated laboratories that received assistance under the DoD's Biological Threat Reduction Program, according to publicly available information and redacted reporting. Although the facility had updated some areas with modern equipment and infrastructure, the Institute, as recently as 2019, had at least some biosafety and biosecurity deficiencies, most notably in rooms handling contagious Brucella bacteria, according to redacted. So we are working to better understand the current status of pathogens and biosafety conditions at the Institute and other Ukrainian labs, because recent reporting suggests that laboratories were ordered to destroy holdings after Russia's invasion. The Institute, something, redacted, anthrax bacteria, redacted, Brucella bacteria. What else did they list here? The Institute almost certainly will remain a target of Russian information operations, particularly narratives that focus on their zoonotic pathogen work, and will be vulnerable to potential Russian damage or seizure. And that also starts to explain, like, why was the Biden administration so gung-ho about Ukraine? Why did they unfurl the Ukrainian flag? Why was it like a level 5 urgent red alert situation? Because maybe the Russians march in there and take over the biolabs. Redacted. Information from 2012 indicates that at least some of the Institute's virology building has a basement level. So they do the dog surgeries up on the first floor and all the funky stuff down below. Over 40 labs were built and supported all over Ukraine. You see what we have here. Kiev's right here. Kharkiv right here. Luhansk, Donetsk region, Crimea, Kherson, and many other locations. And biosafety levels are at 4, 3, 2, and 1. So the real bad ones are going to be in the reds and the oranges. So most of these, the yellows are lab level 2, the whites, and those are human, by the way. All right, so these are human biolabs right there. Research type, human. So these yellow triangles that you see on your screen, basically every single one of them, human, 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 human. Every one. Also some animals. And the orange right here in Odessa seems like it is the most severe biolab level 3 that does human testing. And by the way, they also, according to this chart, do biological weapons storage as well in Odessa. So the Russians march in. Right now, they're battling over these regions, more or less. They want to go in there, take over the biolabs, get the bioweapons. Yeah. And that makes sense why the entire government reoriented itself. It became the most intense, urgent conflict to push the Russians back. Even Rubio brought in Victoria Nuland during that Senate hearing, and it was like, are there biolabs in Russia? She says, yeah, there are. He says, shut up. That's not what I meant. And deviates, doesn't ask a follow-up. Storage of BW pathogens from the Soviet era. They have U.S. training for Ukrainian scientists to work in biocontainment. They have EDPs, especially dangerous pathogens. They have a repository of BW and bioweapon and disease-causing pathogens. Okay, bioweapons over there. Anthrax, tularemia, tuberculosis, swine fever, Newcastle's disease, MERS, SARS, Marburg, Ebola, Lassa, the plague, rickettsia, and so on. And pointing these things out doesn't make you a Russian sympathizer. It's asking, what are we doing? Why do we have biolabs in Ukraine? Why are we facilitating biolabs in Wuhan with the Chinese via EcoHealth Alliance? What are we doing? Is that in the interest of the American people? Here's another one. U.S. built the following labs in Ukraine. When did these happen? We're paying for it and getting killed by it. Kherson Diagnostic Lab, Kherson Oblast Lab. This lab cost us $1.7 million. Another lab cost $500,000. We had multiple contractors, Black and Veach, Ukrainian subcontractors there. They got a permit for working with pathogens listed as in progress on the Ukrainian embassy website. Institute of Veterinary Medicine. Yeah, I'm sure. And the National Academy of Agrarian Sciences. Yeah, just like the League of Women Voters and the National Alliance of American Retired People and the Latino Citizens of America, whatever. Got it. So agrarian sciences and veterinary medicine. Perfect. Like the Leering Centers in Minnesota. I'm sure there's a lot of veterinarian activities going on. Total cost of that lab, $2.1 million. And another one, almost $800,000 for the equipment. This one was a permit for working with pathogens, is listed as in progress, once again, on the website. Another one was called the Central Reference Lab and the Ukrainian Research Anti-Plague Institute. All these like alphabet letters. Total cost of that lab, $3.5 million. Another $2 million for equipment and furniture. The permit on that one was for pathogens issued by the Regime Commission back in 2010. Then we've got diagnostic labs and the Oblast Lab Center. And where was the one? Odessa. That lab cost us $2 million, another $400,000. More permits for pathogens as well. Here's a fact sheet for the one in Odessa that she released. Odessa is the bad one with the bioweapons and the level 3 human lab. So this relates back to Odessa. This was a technical assistance plan for recipients of the Ministry of Health of Ukraine. Donor, the DOD. Great. Back in 2010. This one is dated 2012. Right. So that's Obama. Beneficiary and executive agent, the Ministry of Health of Ukraine. The recipient is the Anti-Plague Institute. I'm sure we've got doctors, Dr. Sergey Volosevich Pazanovikov, contractor team, Ukrainian subcontractors in Black and Veatch. We've got design oversight from this dude, construction oversight from this dude. The working design was approved by the Regime Commission and confirmed by Odessa. They got a construction permit in 2009. Thank you, Obama. Construction Acceptance Act signed into law, building certificate completed, transfer of custody and sustainment memo MOU. They got a permit for pathogens back in 2010. Total U.S. government investment, $3.5 million. Great job. $2 million over there. Yep. And there's more. So here is a web of connections to the U.S. bioweapons defense industry. Sampling of Ukrainian scientific collaborator networks. Look at all these companies. CDC's right there, who wrecked our country. Great job. Ukrainian National University, Navy Medical Research Center, Institute of Veterinary Medicine, Ministry of Agrarian Policy. You see the list. You get the point. They're all there. There's Black and Veatch, building a world of difference, of death. Great job. So here's more on what they're doing. Human trials, veterinary trials. So this first row is about human. The rest are veterinary, so testing animals to see how they respond before it hits the humans. Implementation of cell culture and nucleic acid sequencing at a Ukrainian research and anti-plague institute in order to foster and improve viral diagnostics. That one was not pursued, but the rest of these were completed except this one, TAP5, which is ongoing. This also was a development and use of the express method for avian influenza diagnostics based on reverse transcription loops. This one was an analysis of the threat of the African swine fever in wild boar populations. This one is molecular characterization of highly pathogenic avian influenza and virulent Newcastle disease isolated in Ukraine. Serological monitoring of glanders in Ukraine. More biological safety, community outreach and support about ecology and epidemiology, grantsmanship in action, development of funds, and more. So in total, the U.S. paid Ukrainian scientists to study the genome of highly pathogenic avian flu and other highly infectious viruses in biocontainment labs, which were also paid for by the U.S. government. And I would imagine, research into these pathogens is critically important. And you probably don't want to be doing it right in your backyard. Right? You don't want to be doing it like in Texas or something. Go out to your local Costco and then you go right next door and there's a biolab over there developing bioweapons. But I'm curious as to why this was in Ukraine, first and foremost, and whether this had anything to do with the response to the Russian invasion, or maybe perhaps was the cause of the Russian invasion. And if we're playing around with these funky things and we have a track record of not being able to contain them such that they wreck the planet, people are still suffering from COVID and are permanently traumatized from COVID. And people are suffering from the effects of the jab and other things. And so maybe we just should not be doing it if it's going to wreck the whole world. So shocking stuff. I'm sure this is just the tip of the iceberg, but it shows you clearly what was going on. And Fauci and the rest of them lied about it. And then once they got caught wrecking this in COVID land in Wuhan, they had to lie and say it came from a wet market. And anybody who challenged them was called a conspiracy theorist, kicked off the internet, and had their lives destroyed as well. Meanwhile, the people who were running the whole thing were singing songs.
COVID might be scary, but hope is on the scene. We'll beat coronavirus when we have that vaccine. Oh! Poof.
Why did she just die there on camera? These are the people who were in charge of all of this. They're singing songs to us like we're fifth graders. Actually, preschoolers. So they should be in jail. If you can't be honest about what you've done and you caused the death of 1 million Americans, then you should pay the repercussions for that. So thank you, Tulsi, for releasing these on her final days. Rand Paul hopefully continues to look into it and takes this and parlays it into something useful. We saw other people have already been charged. They got rich off of it. They didn't make an honest mistake and were just oopsie daisies. They made money off of it. They caused the problem, killed a bunch of people, and then got rich off the solution. There's literally a Mission Impossible movie about this, Mission Impossible 2, the worst one of all of them, but still not a bad flick. And it happened. So we're happy that the documents are out. I hope there's much more to come from this. We're going to keep our eye on this story and more. Thank you for joining us as we do. All right, friends, it has been a beautiful stream today. If you're just getting here, thank you for subscribing to our channel, first of all. We had a tremendous broadcast with you today. Thank you for joining. We talked about a big victory in Arizona, America First Legal celebrating, saying that now the Maricopa County Board of Supervisor, in my opinion, fraudsters who were trying to steal election authority away from the actual duly elected county recorder called Justin Heap, now been called in for an order to show cause. And Justin Heap's explanation of what they've done is that they've essentially stolen his equipment and then blamed him for taking his own property back, threatening him with criminal charges and having the sheriff's officers show up at his IT director's house. Insane. Then we saw in California, still fighting over those voter rolls, back and forth on this, Bill Escalates confirming that, yeah, it's a violation of federal law to pay people to vote. He was on with Fox News, refreshed our recollection about his back and forth with the Secretary Shirley Weber. And then we saw Spencer Pratt dropping F-bombs here on the channel, which we normally try to avoid, but it was worth it. Then we have the updates on the Utah clerks who were seeing themselves in these illegal aliens and being overwhelmed with emotion and empathy, and then wrecking their lives in order to get them out of the courthouse illegally in obstruction of law. Now they're charged. We read through the indictment, now unsealed, and their court proceedings will continue on. So we're going to mark this one for a follow-up and see if they get the same fate as the other backdoor judge Doogie up in Wisconsin. Then Tulsi with the big one today. More declassifications. Hopefully there's much more to come. We looked at the documents, not a ton of detail in there, but they've got confirmation that these labs are everywhere. So hopefully they can figure out what they're doing with them so that we don't have another pandemic. And do you remember when Bill Gates came out and he looked at his wife and they gave each other that disgusting smirk? Remember that one? Let me see if I can find that real quick. It just popped into my brain. Bill Gates. Next one. What was that? Remember that? The next one. Yeah, right here.
Pandemic that we face. You know, pandemics can come from natural causes, which is largely coming across from other species. You know, a flu, for example, is still a very big risk. And so we'll have to invest in making sure that we catch the disease sooner, and that we have platforms to make diagnostics, therapeutics, and vaccines very quickly. Very little was invested, even though there were these calls by a lot of people, including our foundation. One group that was funded, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovation, CEPI, we, Wellcome Trust, Norway, UK, Japan were the initial funders, and that is helping out here. So we're better off than if that hadn't happened. But, you know, people trust government to think through these eventual bad things. This was a failure to get ready. And the cost would have been tiny compared to, say, what we spend on being ready for war. We didn't actually do the simulation to think about,
you guys made it.
Okay, what about nursing homes? What about getting factories ready? What about the testing regime? You know, in fact, the testing could have been ramped up very quickly in a few countries that have almost avoided the epidemic entirely, like Taiwan, New Zealand, Australia. You know, they took their experience and actually prepared, and so they moved a lot faster. So we, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is will get attention this time. So we, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is will get attention this time.
Yeah, and that clip cuts off too soon, man, because he looks over to his wife and she's like, yeah, it will. So he's shilling more funding for his foundation, which is behind a lot of these things. That's why we need more governments like Japan and America and all these other things to come out and continue to support more research and more funding. And if we only would have paid me more money, then we could have prevented that from happening. But hold on, I'm getting a call from my Russian hookers and trying to prevent giving my wife a venereal disease. All right, while I'm on Epstein's Island. Thank you, Bill, for wrecking the planet. All right, so now let's see who is here and joining us, my friends. It has been a beautiful day and a beautiful stream. Happy Friday. Hope that your week was outstanding and you accomplished every single thing you set your mind to. We have some donos that came in. Yes, Rick D. I saw this, man. So this morning on the members only stream, we were talking about the lawsuit to try to stop and put the kibosh on the UFC fight. And I was nervous that this judge might have prevented the fight from happening because they just wanted to make Trump's birthday miserable because these are DC judges after all. But that did not happen. So we read through the lawsuit. The DOJ had a fiery reply. We talked about it this morning. I don't think we'll turn that into a segment because it's kind of over now. But it was a very fiery lawsuit. There were two people who were complaining about their disgust at having to look at the Lincoln Memorial with the press briefing that's happening tonight. Then the weigh-ins are at the Eclipse tomorrow. And then on Sunday, there's the fight. So this guy, Douglas, and Paul Romano, I think was the guy. And then there was like a Susan Douglas or something. They said that this guy's an Uber driver and Douglas is a protester. And she was disgusted. She didn't want to look at it. And so that was her standing. And they sued at the last minute to try to stop the fight from literally happening. And I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, these judges might do it. But they didn't do it, which is good news. And so long story short, in conclusion, they're not going to win because they have failed to establish that they actually have standing because they're just whiners, and any irreparable harm because they were just visually disgusted about it. And the lady who was protesting was saying the roads are closed and it's going to be taking me in new directions. And I'm going to have to carry all these signs and this like Constitution. And it's going to cause me pain in my knees. And so I have to walk. And okay, that's great. Because the equities and the public interest weigh against this relief, your emergency application for a TRO is hereby denied. And this came from an Obama judge, Amit Mehta, out of DC. So if you're planning on going to the UFC event, we'll probably see you there. And it's on, baby. Fight night. So we'll be there Sunday, probably going Saturday too. We got ourselves entered into the lottery tickets and we won the lottery. And it's a good win. But, a Powerball would also be nice too. Deborah, what's up? Deborah Strunk Mayo. Deborah's Trunk Mayo in the house. Thank you for becoming a membo. It's great to see you. We'll have our members only morning stream tomorrow morning on Saturday. So if you're a membo, we're looking forward to seeing you and meeting you. Hey, and Tim Jake, thank you for bringing in even more membos. And we had a good stream this morning. What was the other story we talked about? We had UFC. And there was another good one that we did. Oh, tariffs. Tariffs are coming back. There was a 10% tariff ruling. There was a lower level decision that said no tariffs for you. There was a Court of Appeals ruling that said tariffs are back. And we talked about that this morning. Hey, what's going on? Tim Jake. Nathaniel Davenport, welcome. Mayor of Def. We got Jim Batista, BNS Systems, Carnes Customs Rings Things. Welcome. Matt Sumim. We got Bridget Walker. We got My Two Cents, Joseph Clark, and D. Weemy, all gifted membos courtesy of Tim Jake in the house. Very great to see you. Thank you, Tim Jake. There are some who call him Tim. We got this one from Biology. More membos, man. Can't wait to see everybody tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time. on Locals, on YouTube, and on Substack if you want to come join us over there. Skis in the house, welcome. Bartman, great to see you. We got King's Daughter, OK TK Parks, welcome. And DG, all gifted membos, courtesy of Biology Always Wins. Biology, thank you for always bringing in so many membos. We're grateful for you. And hopefully, membos, you stick around and enjoy the streams. We got this one from Doan. Hot Mike from Gretchen Whitmer. Oh, yeah, we didn't cover the other one. There was the Whitmer kidnapping hoax guy who got exonerated. I meant to cue that one up too, maybe tomorrow. Gretchen Whitmer caught saying, we're used to people saying no and doing it anyway. Of course, while pushing massive data center tied to dirty Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson's husband over from the Gateway Pundit. Wow, Doan. Yeah, they don't care. Like, they don't actually represent the people at all. They didn't even let you vote. They care more about illegal aliens using their back doors than they do about what an average constituent would do, because an average constituent isn't paying them millions of dollars in book sales or whatever in order to get these things done. Thank you, Doan. It's good she said it out loud. Probably won't have any consequence for her. Hey, Rob G fan, good to see you, man. I haven't listened since April, as I have been in the hospital. Oh, man. Ulcer burst, damaged my colon, lost 14 pounds. Really struggling, man, asking for your prayers at this difficult time. Rob G fan, you've got him. Heavenly Father, please look down upon our friend Rob G fan. Help him recover instantly and immediately. Send in your love and healing energy into his body and give him all the support that he needs to have those cells reconnect and heal in whatever fashion best serves his longevity, well-being, and health. Really struggling, asking for prayers. My kids, 20 and 17, have really stepped up. Thank you, God, also for empowering them. I'm so proud of them and touched by the deep love they have for Mama. Mama Rob G fan, prayers coming your way. I'm so sorry to hear about that, by the way. Thank you, Jesus. In your name of Jesus Christ, we pray, amen. Thank you, Rob G fan. Man, I hope you really get well very quickly. And shout out to your kids. You know that's a testament to you being a good mama. Raising good kids comes from good mamas, and I have a great mama. So any problems that I have, which are many, did not come from her. Came from the internet. Thank you, Rob G fan. Get well soon. Thanks for saying hello. Really glad you're back. We're going to keep thinking about you and praying for you. I'm an American man. 11 months as a membo. Sun's out, guns out, baby. Heck yeah. It's bicep season, you know? Biceps all day, every day, 24/7 until December. We have to outgirth the left. Thank you. I'm an American man. Thanks for being here, coming up on 1 full year. You're amazing. Hey, that's how I feel every day. I'm an American man. What's up, people, says Tat. What's her name? Got gifted a membo. Dan Grigsby, welcome aboard. Susan Comerford in the house. Anthony McLaughlin, Lindsay Cabba Journals in the house. Man, welcome aboard, new friends. Can't wait to see you tomorrow morning on the Saturday members only stream. Looking forward to that. I'm P Pickin' Cute. Good to see you. Says the board's audacity is astounding. They've become so brazen. I know, and if they're willing to do it like nakedly in front of everybody, what were they doing behind the scenes back during Kerry Lake's election and these other elections? They're like, you guys are conspiracy theorists. They're like, you're stealing equipment, you're stealing power, and then you're threatening people with criminal prosecution if you don't like them taking their property back. So why should we trust you at all? Looks like they took notes from Michigan, what she did to Sheriff Dar Leaf when AG seized his election equipment at the direction of Jocelyn Benson. Yeah, they're harboring stolen property as far as I can tell. They're the ones who should be in jail, not Justin Heap. Should have turned those Pinal County sheriffs right back around and said, go get them. Get out of here. Thank you. I'm P Pickin' Cute. Good to see you. I'm an American man. Me too, man. Where's that GIF again? Best one ever right there. Heck yeah, bro. I feel that vibe. Gosh, I should go do that in the streets of DC, baby. Maybe for America's 250. Hey, King of Biltong, premium Angus and Wagyu beef biltong in the house from Biltong, USA. High protein, no additives. Authentic handcrafts meat snack for your mouth. Naturally air-dried and delicious at BiltongUSA.com. You know where to get it. Use code Robert and you'll save 10% off. Thank you, King of Biltong. I'm an American man. Bringing in Patati. in the house. Batati USA, welcome aboard. There it is again. Beautiful. Shout out to that bro. Do we know who that is? Do we know who that is? It'd be nice to just talk to him and just be, be friends. I wonder if he probably has enough friends, but it'd be nice to have another friend. I'm an American man. What's going on? Thank you for the cup of Joe. Thank you for the nice dono. No question, but thank you. I'm an American man. Big Bats is here. That is a big bat. Bats are pretty cool. Batman is the man. Hey, this is why nobody has faith in the judicial system now. They should be charged with felony aiding and abetting. Yeah? This is like when I worked in jail taking some inmate out and setting him or her free. It's insane. Like, how convoluted does your mental brainwashing need to be that you'll do that? Like, I was upset with Joe Biden and COVID and all the things, but I'm not like, you know what I'm going to do? Commit multiple federal felonies to show him. You're like, what? The whole thing is just wild. Like, the brain rot, the brain washing is so deep that they're literally flipping off the cameras on the way out. Are they going to start a podcast or something? They're going to go on The View? Probably. Be heroes. Which is why you have to punish them aggressively, very aggressively. Sassy Gemini, I feel like I need to get this emoji to Rob's stat. Yeah, those are good ones. That's Sassy Gemini, aka Just Rhonda, the purveyor of fine emojis here in the chat. Thank you, Just Rhonda, Sassy Gemini. Good to see you. Those are good ones. Yes, send those babies over. We're due up for some new emojis. We'll get those in there, no doubt. Thank you, Sassy. You rock. Ice, ice, baby. Dun, 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 and arrest them. What's going on? I'm an American man. Another membo, CCKB8KI in the house, and another dono from I'm an American man with the fist bump. Thank you, my friend, for all the support today. Big Bats says, what do you want from a 60s hippie reject? The only song they know is Puff the Magic Dragon, please. Are they on mushrooms? What were they doing? Is this lady, is this a song for 3-year-olds and then she just dies on camera? Honestly, there's something wrong with their brains. Like, they thought this was a good idea. This is the National Institutes of Health director. This was a guy leading this thing. We saw a bunch of this. These weird doctors like doing these dances and like the Macarena and stuff on their TikTok videos. She seems like she's crazy. Like, if there was a woman bouncing around in my house like that, I'd be like, all right, it's time to go to an institution. I don't know what you're doing. Fortunately, it's my beautiful wife, Alexis, who's beautiful and sane. Hey, Big Bats, thank you. Elk Plow. Hunter Biden had a bit of that on his resume. Totally, 100%. So did, I think, Mitt Romney's son. There were a bunch of other senators' sons who were over there. And that's why they all freaked out about it. I think probably because they all knew. And they realized, oh, it's not like... They lie to us about it, like, oh, it's about Western democracy. Shut up. No, it's not. You don't even care about democracy here. You throw people off the ballot and try to put your opponents in jail and prosecute anybody who protests you. So don't lecture us about that. Well, Putin might march and take over France. Are you high? There's like multiple countries in between the two. So it's, there's always like the thing that you're not seeing. It's this mystery object that explains a lot of things, and it might be the biolabs. Hunter Biden's over there, doing Ukraine Burisma energy stuff, but I'm sure it goes much deeper than that. Scott, hot because you need energy to energize the biolabs. Hey, Scott, Hot Ved, what's up, Scott? YouTube doesn't want me to praise Tulsi for her patriotism or being a good wife who only wants to serve America. Well, that seems ridiculous. Because she is a patriot and she is a good wife for being a good wife to her husband. Dude has cancer, and she said that the surgery went well. I saw her post about that, so that's good news. Prayers up for Tulsi's husband. And this is, if you're a person who governs yourself, then you should have the details to make good decisions about your governance, about your self-governance. If everything is hidden from us and if everything is declassified, then we're not actually governing ourselves. It's like giving a toddler like this little, some toys and putting them in a playpen while you're going and handling everything else. here, you guys just govern yourself. You can only see these things. You can only touch this. There's safety valves on all these things for you because it's too dangerous if you touch that, or you know this, or you open the playpen and get out. I don't even have a kid yet. I'm already doing baby analogies. But we are not slaves. We are smart enough to understand what they're doing and make judgments about that. Otherwise, we are just slaves. They're just treating us like 5-year-olds. It's too complicated for you little peasants. So just sit down and shut up and let us handle it. No, this is America. Hey, Voice, why Ukraine? Less strict laws and rules around it. Bet the coof was made in Ukraine and shipped to China to stay in compliance. And I thought China is like the number one adversary of America. Why are we comporting with them to facilitate the creation of bioweapons in their labs? What are we doing? I don't know. Doesn't seem that intelligent, which means maybe it is criminal. Maybe it's not actually in the interest of American justice, and it's all just being perverted by the bad actors who exist in the gigantic bureaucracy like they've done in every other institution. Thank you, Voice. Rick D, because she was playing the part of the virus, LOL, badly, which is why you missed it. Oh, that's why she died? Because she was a COVID molecule? What's she doing with these Skittles now? Let's see if we can piece that together.
Quickly spread like wildfire. Now we're eating Skittles in quarantine.
Okay, mental institution. It's the only answer. And jail. Hey, Rick D. So she was the coof virus. Got it. Man, look at that handsome pup right there. Just chilling. That looks nice. Just chilling by the pool. Hey, Will Swim for Pie. Hey, Rob, just a heads up. I went to find that Spencer Pratt war declaration video on YouTube, it's not there anymore. Only clips and news coverage of it. Well, I was wondering about the song. Yeah, I'm wondering if the song got nuked. This is on his, let me just do a refresh. Did he delete it? He still got it up on his X. So yeah, 3.6 million views. That guy knows how to make a banger video. I wonder if the song has a copyright problem. So if that happens, we may need to clip it out or mute the song. There was background music in there. Sometimes those get flagged. It's they pull a clip for background music that is copyrighted. So you may get a bunch of videos on YouTube that ultimately remove it. That's my only thought and explanation. Somebody might be flagging it, which means we may do that too. Like if I wrap the show up and it's like, you committed a bad, Rob. I'm like, oh, what? I played a song. So yeah, so I may have to mute it, but that might be the reason. But it's still up on his X, Will Swim for Pie. Thank you for the dono if you want to go check it out over there. Hey, Data. One of my favorite, the next generation characters. A lot of depth and personality for an android. Hey, Data 12, thank you for gifting membos over on Rumble. Masher1, Squirrel Food, Della Meow, Holy Smoked, Donut, mind me, Mod Extraordinaire, gifted membos. Thank you for bringing them in, Data 12. Very nice to see you. Thank you for the dono and the love. Severus in the house. The Mountain Man. Good to see you, Severus. Skipping Stones here, gifted a membo. We got Golden Gaming, Rob Morgan, Pick-Me's in the house. Doreen Bowler, all gifted membos. Thank you, Severus, for doing that. Great to see you. Hopefully your day has been outstanding. We'll see all our new membos in the morning, man. Lots of new membos. Hey, Ray K, 52 months. That's a long time, Ray. That's at the upper end of the spectrum, man. Still pushing all the vaccines hard here in Australia. Are they really? Australia went pretty mad too, if I remember right. And we heard that too. We still heard the vaccines in America. There's a radio ad going around from the CDC or whomever that is explaining something like they're incorporating it into your flu shots. Now you can get all in one, courtesy of Big Pharma. It's all bundled for your convenience. Get your flu shot, get whatever, something else, and the COVID vaccine all in one. Here, get your 15th jab. They're doing that here in Arizona, in America. I heard that. We were walking around in a thrift store, and we heard that over the radio. I'm like, what? Looked at Alexis. What is this right now? Hey, Andrea, What a coincidence. Gates gave his wife a disease, allegedly, who is the spreader of diseases that he is discussing. Yeah, apparently, according to reporting, Epstein was facilitating Bill Gates banging Russian hookers, got a disease, and then was drugging his wife, Melinda, so that she didn't catch it. Then she got a divorce rapidly. We're like, whoa, she got mad about something. What was it? Sounds like that. And then they're looking at each other like the next one is really going to cause a ruckus. She didn't realize the next one was her own personal pandemic in her genitals. Thank you, Andrea. Doan. Elon Musk is the first $1 trillion. Yes, I saw that, man. I didn't get any SpaceX. Ugh. Going to be poor forever. In history, a SpaceX valuates at $2 trillion after a 20-point increase with an IPO of 135. I saw that. Is it still up like 160 or something? The guy actually builds things. He actually does stuff and creates new industries. So he deserves it as far as I can tell. I'm an American man. Man, thank you. I'm an American man. Another one. Great to have you. Thumbs up to you, my friend. We appreciate it. Dan, need those guns to pick up and hold your future baby, Rob. I know. I got to get the car seat muscle built in, you know? Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Hey, Patati, good to see you again. Another one, Patati. Thank you. Very nice to see you. Yeah, and Patati and J-Ma. Yeah, very interesting observations. Notice how she died right after he started singing about vaccines. I think the thesis from Rick D is she was the COVID, so the vaccine killed the COVID. But she's not a COVID. She's a human, and she died. So the symbolism was not all there. So I did notice that, J-Ma. Why is she dying on camera? And I think Rick D's right. Like, she had this little COVID thing right here. Like, that's the COVID. And she took all this time to draw this, to put these little squiggly pipe cleaners on her hat. They put a lot of thought into this. And like a lot of people, I think, had their brains turned to mush with fear and anxiety, rightfully so. It was a horrific time. It was very traumatic across the board, especially if you had a loved one who was going through it. So it was traumatizing. So people couldn't think. So they just came out and started singing songs and doing TikTok dances. And everyone's like, well, I guess our government loves us. Hey, Bobby Malee. What's up, Bobby? Hey, nice prayer. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you for the nice donut, my man. Yeah, man, we got some real good, real prayer warriors out there who are much more sophisticated in their prayers than your boy here, but we try. And it works. It really works. There's even a report, we talked about it, I think last week, a report about praying for 5 minutes a day has actual measurable benefits for you and your life and your health and your well-being and all the things. Thank you, Bobby. Really nice dono. Thank you for saying that. We got Skipping Stones. Their performance was like the misinformation lady for Biden. Yeah, they were doing everything they could. You remember Bill de Blasio coming out and like eating disgusting hamburgers and French fries on camera? Like shoving his disgusting fat face, saying, go get your jab and you'll get a free hamburger. Selling people's health autonomy for a hamburger, just like they steal homeless votes for $2, committing multiple felonies. They don't care. But people couldn't think. People were totally out of their minds. I was out of my mind. And I was still trying to think. We talked about it. We were doing members only, or we were doing community Zoom meetings just to hang together when all this was going on. People's brains were just getting twisted and turned, and you were being threatened and abused, people losing their jobs. They were firing firefighters and medical doctors, and the whole thing was ridiculous. So it had to go to the lowest common denominator, which is why we saw dancing and singing. It was ridiculous. I'm an American man. Thank you. I get so mad about COVID, man. I get fired up. I can just feel my blood pressure rising. I'm an American man. Thanks again, brother. Mic drop. Man, look at all these emojis. We love these nice pairs. Thank you. I'm an American man. Voice of the people. Why is smallpox only allowed in Atlanta, Russia, and Afghanistan? None of these rules make any sense except mutually assured destruction. They do smallpox in Atlanta? You mean like Fulton County? Did it come from that judge's chambers? Or did it come from Fannie Willis's house? I don't know. But it's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I understand wanting to test these things and not wanting them in your backyard. I get that. But, but why are we doing it on the border of Russia so that when the Russians invade, they take them all? That's not good. Why are we doing them in China? Also not good. I don't know. Thank you, voice. Hey, Jake Miller, 33 months. Thank you, Jake. That's multiple babies. It's Puff the Magic Dragon. So she's not a COVID. She's just Puff the Magic Dragon. Yeah. Well, maybe she's puffing the Magic Dragon is what you're meaning. They're just high out of their brains. Rick D, U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels practicing over the UFC event flyover. Man, let's check that out. Yeah, when we went, there's an Air and Space Museum here in D.C. that's awesome. They have an IMAX. And they have a great, we went and saw when my mom was in town and the family, we went and saw this short film. It's like 40 minutes on the Blue Angels. Awesome. Like these dudes are at a whole nuffa level. Okay. You have no idea. And they're like doing these chants and they're syncing up like, turn, hit it, flip, and like practicing the whole thing in their brains before they get into these aircrafts. Syncing their energies, going into a different dimension around this table, all syncing in a harmonic vibration. Then they go out into these airplanes and they're like kissing each other. Crazy. Hell yeah. That's so cool, man. So cool. Oh, I love this country so damn much. Man, it's great. Man, I'm sorry I missed that. Rick D, if you know that there's another one that's coming, man, I'd love to be out there for that. Hey, Jim tells you, man, you got a bulldog over there, Jim? I didn't even know. I used to have an old English bulldog called Rocco. May he rest in peace. Best dog. Amazing dog. Sorry, Axel. You're the best dog now. But he was great. Jim tells you live with Bella Vision. Man, shout out to Bella. Shout out to Bella. Hey, Rob, Jim tells you coming up next, Will Swim for Pie said, oh, dang, my bad. I thought you had opened Pratt's video on YouTube, not on X. No, yeah, it's over on X. Thank you, Will Swim. But it may still not be on YouTube because of the music. I just played it because we had to. Because it was so dang good. Thank you, Will Swim for Pie, for the double dono. Hopefully you were able to find the video and share it around like wildfire. Big Bats, I pray every morning for my wife to leave. LOL, just kidding. I'd be lost without her. Well, hopefully she's not listening to the show. But thank you, Big Bats. You mean to leave to go enjoy herself and get a massage. And then come home to your warm embrace. Yes, we saved it. Nice job, Big Bats. Hey, I'm P Pickin' Cute. It's ludicrous to me that they refer to the gain of function as some preventative measure precaution to save us. More crap straight out of 1984. I'm sure they've got a magical shot lined up to cure us too. Yeah, well, it's always like that. It's for your own good. We have to do these things for your own good. And if you disagree with us, then you're a conspiracy theorist and you're anti-American or you're bought off by somebody or whatever. And you're illegitimate. So just do whatever the government tells you and don't ask questions. Thank you, I'm P. Pickin'. We got Jake Miller. No, the song he is singing there is a ripoff of Puff the Magic Dragon. That part I got, yeah. Yeah, that part I got. Yeah, Puff the Magic Dragon lives by the sea. My wife is crazy. She wears a hat that looks ridiculous. Doesn't rhyme. Thank you, Jake Miller. I was saying she's puffing the magic dragon. They were puffing the magic dragon because that song, pretty sure, is about marijuana. But I could be wrong about that. But we also, friends, thank you so much for those fun donos and those fun questions. Always great to hang out with you. Thank you for supporting us as well and being so generous with your memberships and your super chats and others. Hey, Dan, also sharing. Yep, the update. National Park Service, the UFC fight will go on. And we're looking forward to that because we're going. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, this is the one. Dan was like, why are you not covering Hillary Clinton's conversation about the democracy and the state of politics? Yeah, well, because we don't want to have our eardrums bleed. Thank you, Dan. Hey, there's the machine. There it is. IBML, the scanners, the image track DS that was stolen from Justin Heap. The Veil. Rob, insult to insult and injury. Here is a legit disinformation program by the CIA. It's worth a read. Someone found this, and I'm sharing what they found. Man, thank you, See the Veil. Archive.org details CIA Director William Casey disinformation program, quote and source. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that a lot of the media are embedded with the CIA and essentially extensions of our control grid, an apparatus which uses media to brainwash all of us. Shane, attempted to break into jail. This you, Jake Minervini Blue. Do you think that looks like me? Is that why you're asking? Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. My face is a little bit fatter than his, I think. But maybe if I shave this little bit in my little stash here, it could be like me. But no, I did not try to break into jail. This guy attempted to break into jail, not out of jail. He's like, this real world sucks, man. I'm going back into the pen. Thank you for that. Mom of many. Hey, I might be the first to say this, but when are we going to start paying attention to gain of function research in ticks? I don't think you're the first to say this at all, actually. Not only have researchers used ticks for gain of function pathogens like Lyme's, ticks are spreading all over the country, apparently, and they're turning people into vegetarians. But they are also conditioning ticks to feed on humans, which do not normally feed on humans. I was reading about the longhorn tick, which can carry some nasty pathogens that are a serious risk to livestock, especially cattle. The author assured the readers that we don't need to worry about the longhorn ticks because they normally don't bite humans. They have only been known to bite humans under lab conditions. Am I reading between the lines too much? This sounds like gain of function to me. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's I think a conspiracy theorist that is probably true that there are ticks now that give you, it's called something. It's actually a disease that makes you sick when you eat meat. Like sick, like you vomit. So people are getting the sickness. They can no longer eat meat, period. It's called something. And like that's a, climate change, planet saving effort so that humans stop eating meat. Like it's genetically reprogramming you so that you don't actually eat the meat. Wild. The Veil says prayers up for Tulsi's husband, 100%. Says, Rob, what are the chances that the Board of Supervisors go to jail? 0. Please say there is jail time and impeachment and public humiliation, please. I mean, who goes to jail? Alpha gal. Yeah, that's the name of the tick disease. Alpha gal. It's a real thing. Yeah, nobody goes to jail, especially if you're working for the Democrats and against actual election integrity. You don't go to jail. You get a job at MSNBC. The Veil, thank you for saying prayers up. Prayers up to Tulsi's husband. We are praying for him. Yeah, Jigam says, no, that jail guy doesn't look anything like you. Zone Girl, what was this one? Did we get that one? RC Lamoureux, treasonous politicians and bureaucrats. We have a lot of that out there, no doubt. Thank you, RC Lamoureux. Zone Girl, check out my post right above this. Let me see if I can find that. From Zone Girl. It's okay. They are all globalists, all on the same side, and Obama paid for it, and he told us he banned gain of function research, but then builds labs all over the world for it. I think that's right. Yeah, because they do things in the opposite way of what they say. That's the whole scam. Oh, no, we believe in democracy as they kick people off the ballot. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, we believe in election integrity, really, as you reject any attempts to actually look at your lists. Oh, no, we hate fraud. You're the main beneficiaries of fraud. You enable it and you steal more than anybody. So It's the same old story. Yeah, mosquitoes too. I think Google's releasing a bunch of mosquitoes. Apparently they're releasing mosquitoes that are supposed to create, like mosquitoes have apparently a bacteria or like a virus that impacts only mosquitoes. So I think Google wants to release a bunch of mosquitoes that are infected so that when they go into the other mosquito colonies, they kill all the mosquitoes. I hate mosquitoes. So on that one, I'm kind of like, well, I don't know, maybe that's a good idea. But then, of course, what happens is the mosquito mutates and then it turns into I Am Legend with Will Smith and everybody's zombified. Because we all got bit by mosquitoes that are perverting our DNA. Then we all start looking like Jerry Nadler or something. So, you know, it's a risk, but that's how much we hate mosquitoes. So RC Lamaru, thank you for this one. May the Lord Jesus bring you all the desires of your hearts. Amen. 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 RC Lamaru, thank you for the nice prayer. We love Jesus. So thank you for that. RC, you're the man. Thanks for the donos. My friends, those were amazing. Thank you again for hanging out with us on this lovely Friday. See if we got anything else on X, then we'll close it out on the evening. We do have some comments. What a lovely day. Hey, Neuro D, what a great friend Neuro D is. Join the watchers on Locals or on YouTube. We have the best morning streams. We have the best Saturday streams. And we have a lot of fun. So come check it out. You can follow us also on Rumble. Neuro D, you're the man. We got B Torn. Hey, we are the show. Spend 50 hours creating a Suno song for America's 250th birthday. It's PG rated, and it's not just for pretty AI girls, and it's pretty good. Man, thank you, B Torn. I got that open in a new tab. So we'll check that out. Hey, corporate punishment. Pretty clear that Scott Jarrett needs to be jailed. Seems like he is abusing his office to create criminal charges against duly elected county recorders because he does not want them to actually do their jobs. So that sounds like criminal. I think that's true. Hey, Margot, what's up? Thank you for this. I live for a Robert Gouveia live. Thank you, Margot. We really appreciate it. We enjoy our time together. Thank you for the comment. Thanks for following us on X. Valerie, all of this intimidation tactics by the Board of Supervisors because they are losing badly in court. They're getting crushed. They already lost, but they can't help themselves. So they have to engineer some sort of a crime. And if you're following any of them, then you've been seeing them melting down over the last week. There's a criminal in the county recorder stealing property. Whining and moaning. Just give him his equipment and his power back, you jerks. Gosh, the law says you have to. A judge ordered you to do it. So just do it. Why Ukraine, Wuhan, and Africa? Less oversight, regulations, and cheaper labor rates. Yeah. Africa, I get. Okay, the Russians or the Chinese aren't invading Africa to geographically take over the labs. But like you're in China, like you're working on bioweapons in China and you don't think the Chinese know what you're doing. You literally had Bat Lady, she was her name, right? Who was in there helping. So you're now co-creating bioweapons with like your main adversary on the geopolitical stage. What the hell's that about? Hey, April Maid, what's going on? Another one from Web Archives. Oh, about Peter Daszak, EcoHealth Alliance, all the people who wrote the letters and facilitated the cover-up once they got caught. TJ King, why can't Pratt keep campaigning as a candidate? LA City rules allow you to apply to be a write-in, and if allowed, he just keeps running. Of course, Dems would sue to deny him, and he would sue to be accepted. But Discovery would be awesome for 6 months, and the Dems melt down. I think he could. I don't think he's going to win a write-in. Like, if he can't win when he's on the ballot, he's definitely not going to win when it's a write-in. But I don't know, man. He may be more effective outside of the current political, specific election track, as we see by his videos, like 3.5 million views like that. Crazy. The dude can communicate and knows how to send a message. So, friends, thank you for those great comments too. What a beautiful day and a lovely stream it has been. We'll pause here for the weekend. Tomorrow, if you are a member, we'd love to have you come join us on our members-only streams. We have some good times on Saturdays and in the mornings. And we, have a little bit more casual conversations. So we'd love to see you if you want to join us. It's tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time on Locals or on YouTube. Otherwise, we'll pause here for the weekend. We got some fun UFC stuff that's happening. Hopefully, you're keeping your eye on that as we kick off President Trump's birthday and some America 250 celebrations all across America. Looking forward to that. So it's going to be just a lot of American patriotism here, and we love that, my friends. So we'll pause here before we wrap. Big thank yous to our amazing mods and meme smiths. We got Muffin Rando, we got Donut Mind Me, John in the house, K Bean, Carrie B. We got Neuro D, Janek, Dog Digger, Geegum Geegum, Elliot, and just Rhonda, aka Sassy Gemini, modding the fort down for us, keeping things nice and orderly. Once again, thank you for all the very nice generosity today. Thank you for joining us on the show. Thank you for subscribing to our channel if you haven't already done that, because we'll be back next week to get into it again, and we do not want to miss you as we return. But until we're back, I hope your weekend is amazing. Hopefully it's restful, it's fun. You're spending time with friends, family, the people that you love, and rejuvenating, restoring, and recharging, because we'll be back next week to get into it again. And in order to do this appropriately, we are going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful weekend. Sleep very well. We'll see you right back here on Monday. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, my beautiful friends. Now it's that time where the stream must end. You brought the heat with every chat and line. Together we expose corruption. One more time we dove in the truth where the media hides. Lit up the lies with receipts on all sides. The fight isn't over, but we made them sweat. We ain't done yet, no, not just yet. Because together we are watching the watchers. Truth on our side. Watching the watchers. We won't be denied. Watching the watchers. Eyes open wide. Fighting for freedom with nothing to hide. Drop a like and don't forget to share. And bring a friend who's ready to care. Tomorrow's lies are just today's news, but here we see through the scripted ruse. Together we are watching the watchers, shining the light. Watching the watchers, defending what's right. Watching the watchers, stay each night together and live